Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are exploring tuples, simple, powerful, and immutable collection in Python. So let's get into it. So a tuple is just like a list. It can store multiple items, but there are some differences. It can't be changed, as in it is immutable, and it uses parentheses instead of square brackets. Let's check this out with an example. I'll declare a variable here, colors. And here, as I said, instead of square brackets, we would have to give parentheses. And then we can put in the multiple values. Let's put green. Let's put one more. So this is how you create a tuple. Now let's print this. Let's run this now and you can see the tuple. Another important point is that it cannot be changed, which means it is immutable. So let's say if you try and change a value here, let's say colors, and then let's say we want to replace this value. So if I put in 1 and if I mention another value, it will give us error. So if I run this now, we get a type error saying tuple object does not support item assignment. So that means it cannot be changed. And that is why it makes tuples great for any sort of fixed data like coordinates or dates. So I'll remove this. And if you want to access any of these items, you can still use indexes because just like list, tuple also maintains index and the indexing starts with 0. So this item will have an index of 0, this will have 1 and this will have 2. So here if I just mention the index, let's say 1, I'll get the element which is available at index 1. You see, we got the value. And let's say if you want to create a tuple but you have only one item to store, you would have to add a comma. For example, if I create another variable, so I'm going to create a tuple but I have only one item, let's say, I would have to add a comma here because if I don't add a comma, it will be a normal string. So that is why we would have to add a comma here, which makes it a tuple. Now if I print this, let's run this now. We get the tuple for this one. Now let's see how we can loop through the tuple. So I'll remove this. Now let's loop through this tuple. So I'll write a for loop. We'll start by writing for and then we'll give a counter. Let's say color and then in colors, put a colon to start the block and let's just print the counter, the color. Let me save this and I'll go ahead and run this. So now we got all the items printed one by one. There are few tuple functions which can be very handy. So let's just go ahead and check few of them. So I'll take another tuple, numbers, and let's just put some numbers inside this. So here if you want to get the length of the tuple, you can use the len function. So let's just try that out. Print len and then mention the tuple name, which is numbers in this case. Let me run this now. If I run this, I get the length of the tuple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's say if you want to count the number of occurrences of any particular element. So let's say if we want to know how many times the value 2 occur in this tuple, for that we have something called count. So let's just print that out. Print then numbers, the tuple name dot count, and then the element which you want to count. If I save this, so it should give us the result back as 2. So let me run this. So now it has given us 2. So if I include one more 2 in this tuple, it should give us back 3. And also let's say if you want to check the index position of any of the element, you can do that as well. So let's try that out. So if I give the tuple name dot and index and I would have to mention the value here. So let's say I want to check the index position of 9 or 7. Let's check for 7. So I'll mention 7 here. Let me save this and if I run this, it has returned the index position of 7, which is 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. A tuple can also hold nested data. Let's check that with an example. So I'll create another variable and let's create a tuple. Here I'll give the name, age and subjects as well. I'll type in Python and then C++. So if you see, we have a list inside this tuple. And if you want to access any of these elements, you can just use the indexing. So print, if I want student and if I try to print 0, it is going to give me the name. So if I run this, I'll get the name. And if I print 1, it will give me the age. And if I want to know any of the subjects, as in I want to access the list inside the tuple, I would have to provide 2 indexes. So let's say I'll remove this one. So at what position do we have the list? 0, 1, 2. So I'll mention 2 first and then inside the list, which element position you actually want to access the value. So if I want to fetch C++, so I would write 0 and 1. So 1. Let's print this out and we got the value. Now let's talk about tuple packing and unpacking. So in tuple packing, if you declare a variable and if you assign multiple values to a single variable, Python automatically makes it a tuple. So let's check that out with an example. So if I have, let's say if I have this variable and if I just assign multiple values, so let's say Alice, I'll give the age and let's give the role. So even though I have not surrounded this with parentheses, Python is still going to consider this as tuple. So if I just print let me just print this tuple first. Let me save this and run this. So you see it is giving the output with parentheses. And if we check the type of this data, so print type it should give us back the class as tuple. So here, so this is called tuple packing. And then in the tuple unpacking, we break a tuple into separate variables. Let's do an example for tuple unpacking. So I'll take another variable. Let's say I have this point and I have 3 and 5 inside this tuple. Now I can take multiple variables and assign this point to that, and Python will automatically assign the values. So if I just assign point here, x will be assigned the value of 3 and y will be assigned the value as 5. So if I print this out now, let's print y as well. Let me save this and run this now. So you can see we got the values for x and y. So it is a very clean way of assigning multiple values at once. Let's do one more example to understand this even better. So I'll take two numbers and then we'll swap the variables easily using this tuple unpacking. So let's take a variable and give it a value as 5. Let's take another one and let's give it a value as 10. Now I want to swap the values. I want 10 to be assigned to A and 5 to be assigned to B. So rather than declaring another temp variable and then swapping the values, we can directly use tuple unpacking. So I'll write something like this: A comma B is equals to B comma A. So this is going to unpack 10 and 5 into A and B. And now if we print the values, and let's print the result. So now you see A has a value of 10 and B has value of 5. So tuple unpacking is incredibly very useful for returning multiple values from functions or quickly swapping variables. So I hope now you understand that tuples are ordered immutable collections and they are perfect when you need to ensure data integrity or for convenient packing and unpacking. So here's a mini challenge for you. Create a tuple with your name, age and a list of your 2 favorite languages. Then print each value including the languages using a loop. So try it out. So that's it for tuples. In the next video, we'll explore dictionaries where data comes with labels. Don't forget to like, subscribe and keep coding.